Welcome back to our Constitution. I'm Roger Leon, and I'm going to help guide you through this amazing document. When we left you last, we had read the rather long Section 8 of Article 1. Today we'll talk a little bit about this Section 8 and also look at Sections 9 and 10 of Article 1. And that will wrap up our initial review of Article 1. So Section 8 gives the power to tax and to borrow money to the two houses of Congress. It also gives Congress the power to regulate interstate and foreign commerce. It gives Congress the power to set the rules on how to become a naturalized citizen. And it gives Congress the power to establish bankruptcy legislation. Remember that the Constitution reserved to the citizens through their states all powers it did not specifically grant to the federal government. And we are going through here the powers that were so granted. Added to the one we just listed was the power to create and value a national currency and the punishment for counterfeiting that currency. It granted the power to establish a post office and post roads for the delivery of mail. Also granted was the power to establish patents. Congress would also have the power to establish the courts that would be inferior or below the Supreme Court. And a really important grant of power to be the body of government that could declare war and to establish the armed services, which at the time was the Navy and the Army. And then the power to establish all laws necessary to do or exercise these granted powers. So Section 9 reads, "The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think popular to admit shall not be prohibited by Congress prior to the year 1808. But a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation, not exceeding $10 for each person." And what that one is saying is that a state could increase its size by allowing people to come into the state, but that there would be a tax on people coming into the state. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitalization or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration hereinbefore directed to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation or commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another. Nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury but in consequence of apportions made by law. And a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state. In this section, states were allowed to bring in as many immigrants as it wanted to until 1808. After that, it would be up to Congress. This section also sets that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus could not be suspended, except in cases of insurrection or rebellion. This section prevents the use of bills of attainder. It established that taxes have to be leveled equally among the citizens, and that goods exported from any state cannot be taxed. Section 9 also states that no titles or titles of nobility shall be granted. There were a lot of terms in there that are not commonly used: bills of attainder, habeas corpus. And we'll come back and talk a lot more about those terms and exactly what this section meant. So let's go on to section 10 for a moment. And section 10 reads, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any imports or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imports laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States. And all laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in any time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with any foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So this section 10 prevents states from entering into treaties independent of the federal government. That is reserved solely to the federal government, and no state can have its own currency. Individual states were prohibited, without the approval of Congress, from charging duties on imports, and states could not engage in acts of war with foreign countries unless such acts were for the immediate defense of its territories. So that'll wrap up for today our review of the Constitution, and we'll see you again very soon.